Hello, you lovelies. I am just walking out of Superman, a Christopher Reeve story, and I'm admittedly a bit overwhelmed. I'm going to take my time with this one. I really loved it, and I'm a really unique target demo for this movie in particular. I'm obviously a diehard comic book fan. I'm obviously a lover of the character of Superman, but I didn't know nearly as much about Christopher Reeve as I think the average person my age and older. But before I get into the movie, this documentary is amazing. Before I get in, please hit that subscription bell. All the YouTube things feel very trivial after an experience like this, but I am trying to grow this page. So if you like comic books, if you like movies, if you like TV shows, please hit that subscription bell. I do comic coverage, news reviews, movie news reviews, all sorts of stuff. Hit that like, leave a comment. Let's talk about Christopher Reeve, and let's talk about this documentary, this Superman documentary. Superman is a character that I think is so important. I think it's a character that's aspirational, not inspirational. I think it's a character that's larger than life, that's bigger than all of us. That is something we should aspire to be as good as, that we'll never actually succeed at. We'll never, ever be as big or as good or as right as Superman. And I think there's an element of the identity of the public persona of Christopher Reeve that is also that. I think he did so much to inspire, and we should all aspire to be that great. And that was when he was an actor, and then that was after his horrible accident, when he was an incredible advocate for people with disabilities, for those with paralysis specifically, with advocating for people that weren't given the time of day that he used his specific clout, platform, whatever the modern nomenclature would be, but he used his platform, he used his fame, he used who he was to raise awareness for something so much more important than any one person. That feels so super. And this documentary about Superman, about a Superman, about Christopher Reeve, never shies away from the humanity. And that's what makes him inspirational. But it also shows what he did was larger than life, which is what makes him aspirational. So in so many ways, he's like Clark Kent and like Superman. And I love the style of the documentary. I love that it used time in really interesting ways. It cuts back and forth between a chronological order of him being a young actor into Superman, into Superman 2, into 3, 4, and then during that chronological journey, you're also jumping forward to the accident, to past the accident, to the Christopher Reeve Foundation, to the Dana and Christopher Reeve Foundation, to his children, but you're going back and forth. So it keeps you really entertained and really mesmerized by what he was able to accomplish as an actor, as a Superman, and then what he was able to accomplish overcoming the impossible. And I think that I'm struck by how much we take for granted everything. We take for granted being able to hug someone. We take for granted being able to not be alone every minute, or the ability to be alone and not worry about it. We take for granted how our lives are amazing just existing. And I think this documentary really illustrated the loneliness of always being around people and the loneliness of never being able to be by yourself in a really charming way. It also illustrated what this kind of disability would do to someone, and how the depression is so easy to fall into, and how much harder it'd be to overcome just the day-to-day, much less inspire others, much less get up and get out there and try to be a voice for the voiceless. And Superman the character is obviously iconic, and it's the age of superheroes right now, right? There has never been more prevalent superhero content. A Joker billboard behind me. There is a Superman. I mean, there's a Batman right there. Sorry, Superman's in mine. That's Batman. It is an age of superhero stuff. And while this is so important, I think, for kids to have morals imbued to their very psyche, how important it is to have them look to be inspired and again, to aspire, how it's good to have lessons taught without the mess of religion, and everything that kids can glean from superheroes is so important. But I think it's also so important for them to have heroes that are tangible and that fall and that get back up. Speaking of Batman over there, why do we fall? Mr. Bruce. And this is the ultimate story of falling and getting back up. This is a man who always said he'd walk again, and because of his work, he never got to walk again, but people are walking again because of him. And it's about being outside of yourself with all your goals. And it's beautiful to see the stories of, you know, people being inspired by Superman, but it's so much more impactful to see what his kids are doing to this day, what he inspired that left a legacy behind. And more with the internet, I think about the legacy we're all leaving behind and this insane digital footprint we all have and like what we're all doing. And his legacy will always be Superman because that's the biggest character in pop culture. But his legacy as a man will always be helping people beyond his years. He only lived to 52. As of recording this, it's October 10th. I'm either going to put this up today or tomorrow. October 11th would have been 20 years since he passed away. That's why it's getting the full release going into the 11th. October 11th, 2004, 20 years ago, was when we lost Christopher Reeve. And in 20 years, that Superman legacy lives on. He's still the Superman. And the help he put in is even more prevalent. The way he changed our views on so many important medicines and so many things about visibility and paralysis and the way we look at people that are disabled, so much of an impact. And this documentary really did a great job at that. Now, I mentioned at the top of this, I'm not the target demo. I am 36 recently, and that is pretty much prime age for the Batman, Tim Burton era, but I did not grow up with the Dick Donner Superman. I had never seen it until relatively recently. I made it the last movie I watched in my 20s. I watched it on my 29th going into 30th birthday, so the night of 364 days, like the 30 was my next day, and I thought it was really impactful to save something like that. Until then, I talk about comics for a living, but I never grew up on that Superman, and it was still so impactful and so important and so timeless, and I still haven't seen Superman 2. I'm kind of saving it. And one of my favorite directors is Dick Donner because of Lethal Weapon, and I had never seen his Superman. My two collisions of worlds are my love of Lethal Weapon and comic books, and I had never seen Superman. And I'm so glad I saved it because this got to be special about the man that was Christopher Reeve, not just Superman. Because to me, Superman's the character. And I see now how so many people see Christopher Reeve as Superman. And to be honest, growing up, I thought of him as, an actor people talked about. And to be honest, as someone that, I knew Robin Williams was friends with. And that legacy of their friendship was kind of more impactful because I'd never seen Superman. This was so cool to see as kind of an outlier. The beauty of what the man was with all of, the foibles. Like, he was still human. But it was really a powerful documentary. I loved its use of time. I loved its use of interview footage, and it's edited so kinetically it'll keep up with even TikToker attention spans. It moves, and there's so much life that he lived, so it's impressive it told all that in 2 hours. And the impact to this day, both as a fictional character and as a non-fictional incredible human being, is impressive. So I also want to give some love to DC Studios, who their first show out right now is The Penguin, but this was the first movie they released. They acquired this movie to distribute it under the DC Studios label, which is separate of WB. It's like a totally different thing. It'd be a fun video to do one day, is like diving into that line in the sand. But I think this is a really important first movie for them. The 1978 Superman was like the first superhero movie, and this being their first project seems very symbolic and beautiful to the aspirational and hopeful nature, at least I currently have, for their Superman and beyond. The DC Universe I'm very excited for, and DC Studios releasing a documentary that's a beacon of hope, gives me hope in another generation discovering these heroes and finding the morals and good tidings and belief in how to be a good person in these characters that this great person played. 20 years tomorrow. Probably gonna post this tomorrow. What an impactful experience. I'm literally gonna work on so much in how I want to be perceived on the internet and my life, and also I'm gonna go to the gym and appreciate every curl and every squat and every piece of my body I can move in a very different way. Be good to each other, love each other, be like Superman, be like Christopher Reeve, be good to your neighbor. Truth, justice, the American way should be a compliment. Much love. Hope you enjoyed this review. Leave a comment below. Let's talk about it. Let me know you liked it by liking it. Hit that subscription bell if you so choose. I would love for you to be here. If you like comic stuff, you like movie stuff, that's what we talk about here. That was incredible. Highly recommend it. Now playing in theaters nationwide thanks to that acquisition. It was available for 2 days now. It's everywhere. 20 years since Christopher Reeve, and what an impact. All right, much love. We can all hope to do 1/100th of what that man accomplished and leave 1/100th of the positive impact on those we love. And yeah, up and away. Much love.